Hi, and welcome to Life-with-liv.chacha. It's me. This is the second video of week 5 because week 5 was so intense. I made so many pages of notes. I will try to go through the last 10 pages in 30 minutes. Let's see how it goes. And I will be covering point number 5, key to unhappiness. Number 6, key to happiness. 7, the emotional bank account and the financial bank account. 8, our primal fear. 9, how to deal with criticism. And 10, the top 3 recommendations to performing better. Okay, key to unhappiness. He gets the question from Dave, what makes the people you work with happy? And then he says, the fastest way to unhappiness, so they can stop being unhappy. People tend to not allow themselves to be happy. And the fastest way to unhappiness is to try to make someone be, do, or act in a certain way that you want them to act or be or do. And yeah, that will make you very unhappy. That makes me very unhappy. I do have the tendency to do that and expect certain things from people, and it just doesn't work. Like, people are who they are, and you can't force them to change or learn. No. And he says here, it is only through our 5 senses that we can experience and perceive the world. You are watching this, I'm watching this, or I was watching that video, and it is first being filtered through one of those 5 senses. We create our own reality moment by moment. Like, how many of us like the same food? How many of us like the same music? Have the same favorite color, like the same smell? And to that, the conclusion is that 2 people can be standing side by side, experiencing the same thing, and pretty much in the same space, in the same moment in time, in the same experience in the outer world, and have the same equipment, which is the 5 senses, and come up with entirely different conclusions as to what that means and what the experience is for them, and who is right and who is wrong. And the answer obviously is no one. No one is right or no one is wrong. We're all right about our own experience. Yeah, most of our time we spend justifying why our interpretation is right. And unfortunately, most people has to get validation by getting external agreement. The more people who agree with me, the more I feel good about being right, because I'm justified, because I experienced it. Yeah. And he says, if you can give up the game of trying to have other people act in a way that fits your pictures, you will start avoiding the fastest route to unhappiness. But back to the other thing, people should not agree with you because they have had a different experience, because they interpreted things differently through their 5 senses. And so it's not, we're not meant to just agree with each other. We should disagree. Yeah, and if we can give up this game of of that our picture of the world is the right one, then it's so much easier to be happy. I feel that, like, sometimes I'm like, no, I wanted it to be this way, and then I take a breath and I'm like, okay, actually, what if I'm just grateful for what I have and what I get? I had it yesterday. I was wanting to spend a certain amount of time with someone, and then it turned out that I could only spend something like 3 hours with this person. And at first I was sad, devastated, starting to have these thoughts like, does this person not care about me? Am I not important to them? Do they not love me? Am I not prioritized? Am I not worthy of their time? Oh my goodness. And then I realized that these are my thoughts and I don't have to listen to them. This person definitely do care about me. I know that. And also, even if they didn't, it doesn't mean that I am less loved. It doesn't mean that I am less worthy of love. That is not something I need from other people, or other people don't have to love me for me to be lovable or have love. Like, yeah. And then I just thought to myself, what if I'm just grateful for the time that I can have, and instead I see that I really want to spend time with this person and I am lucky to feel that way. What if I felt like 3 hours was too much time to spend with this person? Then I wouldn't have probably not have a very great time spending time with this person. And instead I feel like it's way too little, and actually I'm super grateful for that. I am able to have such amazing experiences and connection that I want more. And I am grateful that I can feel that way. I am grateful. Yeah. So I turned it around. Yay. I think I'm proud. Yeah. Okay. I will move on. He says, Peter gave up fighting reality because it kept winning. Allow to let go of what reality should look like. Yeah, I agree. Now, point 6. The key to happiness. There are 2 ways to happiness, he says. A complicated way and a not so complicated way. The complicated way is when I get ... blank. When I get that house of my dreams. When I get married. Oh, that was the one for me for many years. When I get children. When I get that job that I'm dreaming of. When I get the body that I wish to have. When I get into shape. When I... you name it. And you know, you probably have something like that too. And it is always moving because desire is a drug. It's like a drug. Desire is an ongoing process. Like, desire doesn't end happily. Desire doesn't end. Desire comes over and over and over. So if we have like, I will be happy when this thing happened, and then when it happens, we will have desire for a new thing. That's the course of life. That means being alive. This will happen until we die. And so it will always move, it will always change, and yeah. So usually it's not happiness for a very long amount of time. And I feel that sometimes I don't allow myself to be happy until I have got that. But why not? Why not just be happy all the time? Yeah. Okay, and then he says the simple way of being happy is think happy thoughts. And it sounds so stupid. I want to laugh so hard, and I'm like, no way, oh my god, you can't be serious. It's not that simple. But then he continues and he says, all happiness ever can be is a real-time present condition of thinking happy thoughts. If you look back at the time you were happy, what was going on when you were happy the last time? Were you thinking happy thoughts? Let me ask myself, what was going on the last time I was feeling happy? I was thinking happy thoughts. But also I was feeling loved. And that made me think happy thoughts. I was feeling appreciated, desired. Felt like I'm learning something, developing. That makes me think happy thoughts too. Yeah. I think he's right. And so I guess it's about figuring out how to think happy thoughts. Okay. Next thing, we are programmable. Like we are programmed all the time. 1,000 commercials saying you won't be happy without this thing. You won't be happy without this cure for blackness under your eyes. You won't be happy without this new phone that will make you connect so much better and take so much better photos. Or you won't be happy without, you name it. Most of what we do are based on habits which have been programmed into us. How you want to be programmed is a choice, but most people are on default, and it's so true, at least for me as well. It's like he says, you put in someone says something to me, and I am programmed in how to react to that, and it's just pressing a button, like pressing the button to play on the movie, and I play the part, and that's it. Then the question is how to notice your programs. Well, he says, ask intelligent questions. What is really going on here? What does this really mean? Yeah, I think like stopping up and just saying like, wait, do I really need to eat that cake? When someone offers me to do so, if I feel like I'm already full? Or am I just pressing the button and playing my part? Or do I really need to sleep in that place if I feel uncomfortable? No. Even if social norms are telling me that I should, but no, I don't have to. Do I really need to get angry when someone calls me an idiot? No, I don't have to. This is very important. I marked it as like very important. So, listen. When you come to the awareness that nobody can do anything to you emotionally without your permission, you start to understand levels of freedom of thought and freedom of response. I hate that this is true, but it's so true. When you realize that no one can do anything to you emotionally without your permission. Like, you're allowing people to make you angry or sad or feel rejected or yeah. I used to allow someone to make me unhappy and feel rejected when I didn't get the touch that I wanted. Now I can change that. Okay. He says here, responsibility equals the ability to respond. Yeah. Responsibility is the ability to respond. I don't know what to say. I think it's beautiful and a little more complex than I can truly grasp right now. So if you want to take responsibility for your own emotional reaction, quality of life, your experience, it has got nothing to do with whether you are driving the car you want. It has gotten everything to do with a moment-to-moment appreciation that nobody can do anything to you emotionally without your permission. A moment-to-moment appreciation that nobody can do anything to you emotionally without your permission. It's like empowerment. Then he goes a bit back to this, like, that we are programmed, we are pre-recorded, it's like a pre-recorded movie. Someone presses a button and you react with a movie, react with a pattern. Someone says, you're an idiot, and then the button is pressed, and you say, what, you asshole? And Peter asks, what about compassion? That son of a bitch made me mad. And he says, that's complete untrue. Absolute lie. I choose to make myself mad based on what they did. You don't have to agree with them. Yeah. But it's you who made them mad. It's you who made yourself mad with what they did. It's me who made myself mad with what they did. Or made myself feel uncomfortable or incompetent or whatever because of what they are, or like based on what they did. And then he says, to get past it, try to put yourself in their shoes and come to the point where you can feel that you would have done the same in their place. Like, you don't have to just imagine, oh, this person probably have a bad day, or I don't have to imagine this person just had a bad day or whatever, but actually think, okay, if I had a bad day like this, and I did this and that, and I had these circumstances, and then this thing happened to me, I would probably react in the same way. So come to the point where you see that you could be that asshole. You could react like that. And then you can have compassion for this person. And if you cannot, we all have been assholes and we've all had bad days. And if you cannot come to that point, you have no right to judge. Yeah. And also, you cannot control people. It's again about the five senses and wanting to control how people act. You cannot tell people to be in a certain way, because the base of a 16-year-old is not the same as one who is 29-year-old. And that is why we don't judge. Yeah, we can only be an example. And then he talks about Nelson Mandela, and he did bad things and was in prison. And then he came out and he was an example to people. He didn't tell them how to do things, he just showed them by being that himself. And then people followed. And Peter is saying that's the only thing you can do. You can't make people change, but you can be an example. And then they can choose if they want to follow that. And that is the only way to change the world, according to Peter. All right, let's move on. Next point is the emotional bank account and the financial bank account. So the financial bank account follows the emotional bank account. Important point. Then he also says money is always a reflection of the value you add. You can stop chasing them. Money means nothing. But this first sentence, that they are always a reflection of the value you add, I think that's a really tough one to swallow. I do think it rings true. And so, yeah, finding a way of adding more value, that's the way. But you can stop chasing money. Money means nothing. If the economy broke down tomorrow and you were left with $1 million and you were cold, you would burn them. Yeah. They are only a byproduct of how much value you add. And most people don't like the awareness of that, because it means you have to look in the mirror and say, if I don't have enough, it means I haven't given enough. Yeah, what I said before. But the emotional bank account needs to go first. And then there is a delay. Newtonian physics and metaphysics, I don't know, and causality. Yeah, so it's this idea that you can change your inner world and the outer world will follow, but there's a delay. In one, there's a delay, and the other one is instant, like metaphysics are instant. Oh no, wait. You instantly can change the way you think or feel about something, but there is a delay in the outer world. You start vibrating at a level of attraction, you start appreciating things, and then things will come. It will follow, it has to follow, because it's like you're setting a path, like turning a boat, and it will turn, even if it doesn't turn for the first kilometers. But you have set the path, so it will turn eventually. Yeah. And most people, also me, tend to give up after 1 kilometer, and you see that nothing has changed, so you just put the course back. And then nothing happened, and they're like, why didn't anything happen? And basically it's the delay. And I was thinking that it didn't work. But if you set the course, it will work. And how fast it changes depends on the link between your thinking center and your feeling center. And second, the consistency of the signal that you're broadcasting. Yeah. I'm practicing that. Getting better. Okay, I have to move on. So, the primal fear. His coach, Tony Robbins, taught him and believes that there's one primal fear that we all have, and it's the fear that we are not enough. Then there are only two fears that we are born with, and it's the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. But the primal fear is usually the root cause um, of our emotional bank account not being full. Um, and we tie self-worth to net worth. Like, so if my bank account is very low, then I think that means that I'm not worth very much. And every time, like, if your net worth, your money is threatened, it triggers the fear that you're not enough, because your self-worth is tied to your net worth. And that is why people compromise their values when it comes to money. Like, you make bad decisions because you feel like you have to earn that amount of money to be good enough. And then you start compromising your values. Or I would start compromising my values. I did that in the past. It's over. Or I'm trying, at least. And most people will do anything to avoid this fear of not being good enough. But the thing is, we are good enough. I am born good enough. I'm born that way, and we don't need a bank account to prove it. We don't want, like, the goal is not to be the richest person in the graveyard. I don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. That's what the Egyptians tried to do, and they were buried with all their treasures. And what happened? We came there and we dug up all their treasures and stole them. And there's a big difference, according to Peter, between wealth and fulfillment. And he says some people are so poor, all they have is money. And the end of life, what is the grand prize? What do dying people ask for? Their loved ones. People they care about. Love. Love is the grand prize. And they say the dying people just want to be around them. Some people avoid that and miss the game completely. You're born good enough. When you are free of that game and can start recognize true fulfillment, love, joy, happiness, thinking happy thoughts, once you surrender to the ground prize, which is love, you are free to go and make money. So amazing. Love is the grand prize. Let's spread more love. Okay. Second to last thing. So, number 9, how to deal with criticism. And Peter talks about internal validation and external validation. And that he doesn't need external validation as long as he's not hurting anyone. And to get external validation is an exhausting game. And you always have to make sure that people agree with your view of the world. Whereas internal validation, if you're not hurting anyone else, so why need the validation of others? I just need my own validation. I know I'm enough. Not to the point of arrogance. That is the same pattern as the external validation, just flip side of the coin. Like, I am indifferent to your stupid model of the world because mine is better. I am validating my point by proving that yours is wrong. And there's no humility in that. I've definitely been there. Yeah. Arrogance. Feeling like I am better because I know better, and that's not what I want. So I want internal validation. which is not opinionated, it's not egoistic, and it's not externally validated. Okay, Peter says, I see these people who criticize, they run on external validation or egoistic validation, so I understand and I can feel rather amusement rather than anger. They are running the pattern, and it's just a pattern. And I don't look down on them, I see the pattern. And he says he distinguishes between a person and their behavior. Like, and then he tries to come from a place of admiration. So he's like saying, wow, they have this pattern and this person is actually still functioning. Like, they probably live in a lot of stress and misdoubt, like self-doubt and so on, and they're actually still working people, working beings, and that's quite impressive, and he's not sure he could do that himself. Yeah, and that's compassion, and it's so much better. He says, do I hope to get attacked? Yes. Does it contradict everybody else's model of the world? Well, it wouldn't be doing much good if it didn't. You are not gonna save the world thinking what everybody else thinks. And then I put down my own words. I'm not going to solve a problem from the same thinking as where it was created. I'm not gonna change the world by thinking as anyone else, or do what everyone else is doing or thinking, the way we have always been thinking. To create change, I have to do something different than what I did before, or than what we did before. Yeah. So actually criticism is good because that means that you are going above what everybody else is thinking, and maybe it's threatening because it's different. Like, we're usually scared of what we don't know. The last point, which is the top 3 recommendations to perform better. And he says, his first recommendation is, let go of needing to know the top 3. Stop it. Because one of the most powerful things someone can do is to increase the ability to handle uncertainty. Like, we always want to know, what's the top 3 things I can do? What is the golden nugget? What is the best in this and that? And why does this happen? And he says a key is to let go of that, to try to live in uncertainty. Learn to live in the space of a question. And I must agree, like, I used to plan my life so much, and if I didn't have like a super clear plan of who I'm gonna do what with and what I'm gonna work with and where I'm gonna live and stuff, I would go crazy. And now I've been forced by life and by myself. I've taken the chance to be like, you know what, I don't know, and I will trust that it will happen and I will be happy. I am happy with whatever comes, and life is ever changing, and I keep learning, and I'm not sure what's gonna happen in my life, and that's actually good. Well, and scary, very scary. 2, recognize that we all come at life through a different looking glass. You create your model of the world, I create mine. It is going to be different for you because you have a different way of interpreting through the 5 senses, on top of a different belief system, a different upbringing, different culture, so on. And therefore, if you agree with me, there's something wrong. Learn to understand that we all have a different viewpoint and be okay with that. You don't need people to agree with you. This is so challenging for me. Sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough if I'm not agreeing with the people next to me, or I feel indifferent, or I feel like they don't get me if they don't agree with me. Yeah. So I can practice this one more. Number 3. Last one. Don't get hooked by your immediate circumstances. Walk into another room. Get inspired and tap into the sense that you are born a miracle. 4-1. Find your passion. Find your bliss, and don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. I will end on that note. Yes. Love you all. Love to me, love to you, love to the world. Thank you for watching. I'm truly grateful. Yours, Liu. Bye.